Hiya folks, how are we doing today? My name's Luke, I'm from Radford Creations. Welcome back to my workshop. So, we've got a bit of a sick doggy today, so I need to keep an eye on him, so we have a nice easy one. We're going to do another instalment on getting started in blacksmithing, and today we're going to be specifically talking about grinders. Now that has nothing to do with an app you may or may not be able to get on your phones. It's more to do with angle grinders, bench grinders and belt grinders. We're going to be going through all three today. We're going to be having a look at how they work, what benefits and downsides they have, and what you need to be looking at when you're buying. So yeah, let's get started straight away. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, it's going to help me out fantastically, and don't forget to like and comment on this video. Okay guys, let's get going. Okay then folks, so let's get started with angle grinders. Now angle grinders is the one thing I suggest people get really early on in their metalworking careers. It's literally the first thing I brought, and it's still the same one I've been using 3 years now. But these are the most versatile tool in your armoury of tools. Like it will do loads of different things. There's very rarely something that I'm making that isn't touched by my angle grinder. So yeah, so let's have a quick look. Okay folks, so this, you would have seen me use it loads of times if you watch my other videos, is an angle grinder, plain and simple. Now I'm a bit of a naughty boy because I've took the guard off this. There should be a black guard that sits on the back, which helps if you have a problem happen with the thing, but I'll take it off. I don't tend to use tools as they are intended sometimes, and I find it gets in the way more than it helps. So but please keep your guards on your angle grinders, guys, especially if you're inexperienced with them. Don't take them off until you know what you're doing and you feel comfortable. Also, like I've stated before, leather apron saved me from when a grinding disc, which is this, as you can see that, it's a solid bit of thing moving at God knows how many thousands of RPM, exploded and hit me in the chest. If I wasn't wearing my leather apron, it would have very much hurt and very much injured me. So yeah, keep your guards on, guys, until you know exactly what you're doing. Obviously take them off at your own risk, but I don't keep them on mine. But yeah, so essentially this is just a motor which turns this here at a very high rate of speed, and it just helps us cut, grind and sand stuff down. So the three main discs you're going to be using are cutting discs. So I've got used and unused ones here. So this, as you can see, is a really thin sort of disc, and you look at it and it's very bendy, and you sort of go, how's that going to cut steel? But it cuts steel like butter. It'll go through almost anything, and the only restrictions it's got is its width. So obviously if you're trying to cut a really thick bit of steel, you're only going to be able to cut up to, probably not even that metal bit, so you're probably going to be able to cut up to, I don't know, an inch deep into that steel. It will cut through very, very, very thick steel, but obviously it gets more awkward the deeper you go into it. So yeah, so you can see the two differences between used and unused. So as they get used, they get smaller, and the material starts getting stripped away until you're literally left with something really small. Don't let it get down to the metal ring. Stop it way before then. If you see them fray, crack, you see like fraying on the edges. This is not too bad actually, but you'll see as you use them, if you see like fraying, you see like what looks like little bits of string coming off, scrap it, move on. They're not very expensive. I think it's something like £10 for 20 or something like that on Amazon. So yeah, again, these can explode when you're using them. Keep them straight, don't twist them so you don't have them go between a piece of metal like that as you're cutting, and then torque it. You want to keep it very straight. If you torque it, you run the risk of it just catastrophically exploding on you. So yeah, cutting discs. So obviously that's for like cutting material. You've seen me use it before when you know, you literally just want to cut a piece of material, put a nice clean cut into them. This is a grinding disc, so as you can see it's a lot thicker. and this is for genuinely, you saw if you watch the British Army machete I restored, this is what I mainly use at the start, which is just, and all it is you use the rotation and you just grind up the surface off it, and it'll take a fair bit of steel off it if you let it. But yeah, so you can see that's a used one. You can see how it's starting to roll on the edges and stuff like that. That's still good for a little while, that is. But again, if you see big chips coming out of them, big chunks missing, big gaps coming out of it, scrap it, move on to the next one. Do not run the risk of it exploding on you. Okay, yeah, very useful. I don't like using the grinding disc too much. Also, when you're using a grinding disc like that, a cutting disc isn't too bad, but when you're using a grinding disc, make sure you're wearing some kind of face covering, because as I found out when I first started, you'll get all the grinding dust, and it's literally like metal shavings up in your nostrils, and you'll be breathing it in, and it is very much not good for you. So the third type of disc you'll see me using, and you'll see people using, is called a flat disc or a sanding disc. So these come in all different types of grits, the same as sandpaper, and literally all it is flaps of sandpaper glued down on top of each other. You can see it from the side there. It's literally just flaps of sandpaper. These are very good for removing like a rust surface off something, removing just a little bit of steel and cleaning it up, and giving it what would effectively be a very thorough sanding. It's good for carving wood and stuff. Don't think you're going to be able to put a finish on anything with this. If you put this to wood, it'll literally just start eating it. So yeah, as you can see, that's the used one. As you can see, again, it's just getting worn down and stuff like that. These, again, if you start seeing some of the flaps missing, you start seeing fraying. You can see a little bit of fraying there. Scrap it. These don't tend to come apart very much, and if they did, I don't think they're doing much damage, but don't run the risk. It's still got a fairly sturdy backing board and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously the flat disc, you know when they're done, because they stop working. You'll find it just stops removing the material as much as you want. So how these work is literally, as you can see, this just comes off. You put the desired disc you want. Obviously, all of these have like painted backs, and most of them will. So you put the back down away, and then this screws on over the top. You'll get a little tool that comes with it. It's like a little Allen key thing. So on the back here, so as you can see, it's just going to turn at the moment. If we try and turn it, there's a little button on the back. Turn it and you'll feel the whole button. So that's not down. If you turn it, click down then, and then that won't move now when we tighten it up. So now we use the key to just tighten it up, and there she goes. Very simple to use. Keep the handle on them, guys. Don't try not to take the handles off them. They're a good way of holding on to them. And then to turn them on, this isn't plugged in, is it? No. It's literally just the switch on the side you've seen me use. Okay. So yeah, very, very versatile tools. You can get other types of discs. You can get discs that cut stone and masonry. You can get discs that, well, I've got one over here. Yeah, a wire wheel, a knotted wire wheel disc, good for cleaning all rust off stuff. Yeah, very, very versatile tool, and it'll help you out loads in cleaning your work up and stuff like that. This is a 120 angle grinder, 120mm grinder. That's the size of the disc. They do go higher up, bigger 9-inch one there, if you can see it. So obviously you can see the size difference. These are designed for bigger discs, so you can cut more. The motor's got far more power, but they are a lot heavier and a lot more difficult to control. So only use something this size. Don't think I'll just get one of them because it'll be fine. You get so much more out of a smaller one because you're able to, I mean, I can pick that up one hand, maneuver it round however I like. These there, Jesus, you know what I mean, you can pick them up with one arm, but you're not going to be able to maneuver it very well. So they're good for like if you're doing really large pieces of work, you got a lot of ground to cover and stuff like that. But yeah, as you can see on here, this is the guard is still on this one because I don't want a really large grinding disc to explode on me, because that will 100% not be a good day. Right guys, so I paid £35 for this. It's lasting me almost 3 years, so I use it almost every time I'm in the workshop. Very inexpensive. I find the cheaper ones seem to run a little bit better. This is a JCB. Yeah, I seem to find the more expensive ones, you can spend £150 odd on an angle grinder if you wanted, but I find that the cheaper ones seem to be just as good as the expensive ones. I don't see the point in spending the extra money. You'll find cordless ones, battery operated ones. They're good, don't get me wrong, they're good. Again, batteries go flat. You don't want batteries going flat in the middle of your work. You know, if you're in the middle of getting something done, you need it done today, you've got a customer that needs something tomorrow. Last thing you need is, oh, I've got to charge my battery again. Nice plug it in, away you go, this will run forever. Also the battery ones, especially when they're low on power, they lose torque, and you might even find the disc slowing down and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, they're fantastic, especially for like mechanics and stuff like that who need to get their angle grinders into really weird places and stuff, and I've seen them work really well and I have used them before, but I just think you can't beat a nice cheap angle grinder that plugs straight into the mains and will run and run and run. Right guys, so we'll move on to bench grinders now. Alright then folks, so this is a bench grinder. Now this is a really important lesson for me in buying the right tools the first time, because this I paid, I don't know, £25–30 for, and it is rubbish. I don't even know why I still have it, to be honest. I should really just chuck it away or give it to someone who might need it. It'll probably be good for small projects and stuff like that, but for what I do, it's absolutely useless. Obviously, normally you'd have 2 discs. I took it off because I did have a polishing wheel on the thing, which I I may have set fire to while grinding one day. Lesson learned there as well. So this is literally the same sort of thing as the angle grinder. It's just a motor that feeds onto a grinding disc. Okay, the problem with this is that you can see the nut turning there. It's just got no torque whatsoever, and it sort of shakes itself apart. You'll see when I turn it on, it's not, like the vibration in it, it's just not very good quality. So I'm just trying to show you what you get for your money when you spend the right money. But I'll also show you how to get a bargain in a second. So literally just a switch turns it on. You hear it vibrating itself to death here. That's what's going on in here. So this is the problem with this, you ready? Stopped. Ready? Wait for it to stop shaking itself apart. So it did absolutely minimal. And you can see as soon as I touch a bit of steel to it, bang, stop. No torque in the motor whatsoever. It was a real pain in the arse when this is all I had. So yeah, I really wouldn't bother. If you're going to be doing proper blacksmithing stuff, I really wouldn't bother with these cheap little bench grinders. But I'll show you something you should bother with. Now this, you might think looks very similar to what we've just used, or maybe even worse because it's a little bit beaten up. But as you can see, it's probably 3 times the size of that other small one. Now this is I think it's a 2 horsepower motor. It just plugs straight into the mains as normal, and I'll show you the difference in its power and torque. Right guys, so we'll flicker on as normal. You can you hear there's no massive vibrations. Much better quality built piece of kit this is. So this, exactly the same. See that's our grind mark from the last one. Exactly the same bit of metal. We're just going to Yeah. Now look at that. You can see it better now. Yeah, it actually almost started scorching it. It slowed down a little bit. The wheels just keep on spinning. This thing eats metal and is absolutely amazing. So turn this off. You can see how good the bearings are on it. It's still going almost full speed. That lasted longer with no power going to it than the little one did. So I paid £25 for this at a car boot sale. I saw it. It was just sitting there. You can see on the corner it's got a bit of damage here, but that's just the casing, that's just the stand, it doesn't matter. The thing itself works fantastically. So it was a real bargain, it was a real find, but this is something that you know what I mean, like if you want a bench grinder you need one of these bigger, more industrial ones, because those little ones are absolutely useless. But yeah, definitely something I'd get my hands on. Keep your eyes open at second-hand sales, car boot sales, anything like that. Okay guys, now onto the final belt grinder. Right then folks, now this is a 2x72 belt grinder. This is a very, very different beast from the other things we've been showing. They are very expensive, very, very powerful, and very, very worth it. Especially for knife makers. You'll see these on Forged in Fire, and any other knife maker worth his salt as one of these. So as you can see, the motor again much bigger than the 2 horsepower one. This is a 3 horsepower 3-phase motor, which means it needs an inverter here. The box is just to keep all the dust and grit out of the inverter. So basically this is running off AC current, and it needs an inverter, so it will run off a standard plug for your house. But this has also got a speed control on, which I'll show you in a sec, but we'll have a quick look at how this works. They are fairly simple, however, to build everything has to be so precise. So obviously we've got the motor, which turns this wheel here, which is what turns the, see it all going around there. So when this wheel turns, it turns the whole belt, and these runners, they just keep it in line. This is a contact wheel here, so we've got two, as you can see, we can undo this, swing the whole thing round, and we can use the contact wheel up front. At the moment it's got what's called a flat platen on the back, so make sure everything stays flat and solid when we're grinding. Yeah, so to change belts and stuff on this is literally just a spring load thing. You take that down, push it down, and then the belt will come off. Really nice and easy. So these are just, so the reason it's called 2x72 is because the belts are 2 inches wide and 72 inches long all the way around, obviously joined at that point. They come in all different grits like normal sandpaper, so as you can see there, this is a 120 grit. This is still purple from the machete build we did the other day. Thank you, Amy. So yeah, so to get this thing started, it's all through electronics. We have, let's just press the green button, and we've got control over how fast this spins. Some of them will just have a switch and it turns on, it goes straight up to full chat, and you know, that's all you get. What I've got on this one is a speed control, so we can turn it just a bit. You can see it all running. So there you go, folks. That's a 2x72 belt grinder. These are very pricey. I paid, I think it was about £600 for this one. There's a gentleman who makes them. in Nottingham, I think he is. But yeah, I've seen them go up to £2,000 or £3,000 for like proper professionally built ones and stuff like that. You can have a go at building one yourself. There's plans online and stuff for them. But the motor, even the motor himself, is going to set you back 100 odd quid. You know, inverters and stuff like that. You're looking, I mean, a couple £100 just in materials if you're trying to build one, and then you've got to make sure all these tolerances, all these bearings are good, all the tolerances, all the spacing, because you've got to think if this is flapping about too much, it's not going to work, is it? So you need to make sure everything's perfect. So yeah, guys, highly recommend getting one of these. Like I say, they're expensive, and you know, you keep your eye out for a second-hand one if you wanted. But yeah, guys. Right then, folks, that was a look at 3 different types of grinders. So just to recap, get yourself an angle grinder, nice cheap one, £35, £40, something like that. Plug it into the mains, away you go. You can do so many things with an angle grinder. It is so versatile. You need to get yourself one. Bench grinders, get yourself a big one. Don't get the little ones, those little cheap ones. They might look okay, and they might be good for, like, I don't know, like jewellery making or something like that, I don't know. But for what we do, for blacksmithing, for hardcore metal work, they are useless. Get yourself a nice big one, like that one there. Like I said, I picked mine up at a car boot. Keep your eyes open, you can find a bargain. And then we have the Big Daddy 72 belt sander. So obviously, if you can afford one, get yourself one. They're good, not just for knife making, which they're absolutely fantastic for, but all sorts of other things that you need to do with grinding. Okay, and guys, so I think that does it for this video. Please remember to subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to like and comment it on this video as well. So I'll see you next time, guys. I think we've got an update on R2D2 next week. Got some more welding, and just see how it's coming along. Okay, guys, you have a nice day. Bye.